Welcome to Permission Slip Granted. If you're new here, we're so glad you're tuning in. This is where we talk about the real, raw, and often messy parts of life. Let's be real, challenges kind of suck when you're in them. They're uncomfortable, they're inconvenient, and they often show up uninvited. But what if the very things we try to avoid are actually beating our growth, our resilience, and even our sense of self? So grab your coffee, take a breath, and let's talk about the gift inside of grit. Let's get into it.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are in the middle of a lovely topic about what feeds you. And we're taking a little bit of a different turn this week, talking about something that maybe it isn't our go-to for feeding our soul, feeding our happiness, but it's something that is integral to our growth and to our forward progression. So this week, we're going to be talking about challenges. Kind of a loaded topic, ladies. Does anybody have any thoughts right off the get-go?
Challenges suck when you're in them.
I mean, let's be real. Yeah, that's why I said before we started recording, we were kind of chit-chatting a little bit. We do like to have these conversations be authentic, but we want to have a direction. We got some ADHDers in the house. And one of the things that I said was, let's think of challenges like kale, right? It may not be something that we want to consume, but it's really good for us.
I love kale.
Oh, well then.
Me too.
Well, then you guys are out for this analogy. There's going to be listeners though who are like, "Oh, I agree with Kylie."
All right. Well, when it comes to that thought first off the bat, I think of when I'm, when I stay stagnant, when I stay the same, I become miserable, right? But I know that when I have a goal and I want to reach it, and I particularly need to, brush up on a skill or do something that I really don't want to do, I know it's going to be challenging and uncomfortable. But I'd rather be uncomfortable doing the challenging thing than being uncomfortable staying the same.
Yeah. I like that. And for me, where I go is this is just temporary. Because I feel like nobody really wants to actively go into the challenging thing. Like there's always this resistance, at least for me. There's like, oh, I know I have to do it. I just got to hunker down and get through it. Or sometimes life throws you a wrench and you're not expecting that challenge, right? But it's the thing that gets me through. I literally always repeat this in my mind. There's a lesson. It's going to end. You're going to get through it. It's not forever. This is just a moment or a chapter that we're going to go through, and then we're going to learn from it. And I think that that's what I think the theme here is, like what feeds you and what inspires you to grow. It's that discomfort when we lean into it and we invite it and we take something beautiful out of it. The growth is what's going to happen in that space, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If I can speak for a minute, I mean, I don't know if this is either of your experiences. For me, I feel like I've kind of been in struggle bus mode since about 2019. I mean, there have been periods of, where I could breathe, but it has just been like one major thing after another. And I wouldn't change anything, right? I don't regret any of the choices that I made because, a lot of it did stem from leaving the cult, getting divorced, moving out on my own with my boy. Like there's a lot of really great things there. But what would you say to somebody who maybe is in a similar situation to me that has found themselves maybe as an unintentional roommate with struggle, right? Like it's not necessarily what they thought they were signing up for, but it's pretty present in their life. What would you say, or how would you help encourage their mindset to maybe shift a little bit around challenges?
The thing that comes to mind for me specifically, and I think to perpetuate action in any level to continue momentum, we have to have a really rooted in knowing our why. What is that level of motivation that's going to keep you with that momentum forward, to continue to get gritty, to push forward, to embrace the discomfort, to be in the present, to chase that better version of yourself that you know is coming? Because as long as we are, I believe, and again, you guys may take it how you will, but as long as you are present in your own awareness and you take in those moments as an opportunity for growth, take that lesson and learn and apply it, then I truly feel that is when growth happens. But if you stay stagnant, like Sydney was saying, like just moving on and going on that mundane hamster wheel, not trying to make any changes that bring you the discomfort. So if you're aware of the discomfort and you do nothing about it, then you kind of get stuck in this monotony. I'm just in this survival mode. The thoughts that are coming, those are very, I think, paramount to us getting out of this loop, of this cycle. And then depression comes on with that loop of those thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I'm in it, I can't get out of it. What do I do? How do I get out of this? Instead, find the positive. Where's the lesson? And it might suck in the moment, but once you're outside of that moment, you can look back and reflect.
Okay. What about you?
That's really good. For me, and I can totally relate to Kylie, your season. It's just like, I remember saying to myself, when adulting just gets worse, it just, when does it stop? Because it just is like a snowball. It sometimes feels like a snowball effect of just one thing after the other, right? But for me, what kind of pushes me and feeds me is understanding my purpose. And I feel like I have many purposes on this earth, and maybe I won't fully understand why, while I'm here, but for me, it makes sense and it kind of propels me forward when I can find purpose in my life. And through that purpose, where I find that purpose is through my pain. And so taking these painful moments, I'm grateful for, because through that, I kind of formulate, okay, this happened to me, or this is happening in life. What purpose can I stem through it? How can I be of service to someone else? How can, there's a reason for this. So I find purpose out of my pain. And when I journal, or I, take time and reflect, I'm able to connect the dots. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You only connect the dots reflecting and looking back. And then I'm like, that's why that happened, and it was shitty. It sucked. It really blew. But guess what? I was able to, I can look back and understand, okay, I know growth happens through pain, and if I'm going to live till I'm 80 or 100, I'm probably going to go through, several more things. So I've got to gear up and find ways to armor up my mind and protect myself. Because like Kristen said, spiraling can happen, depression, all that jazz. So we have to prepare ourselves a little bit for these battlefields that we're about to step onto.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to reflect back the things that I'm hearing. So I'm hearing intention, right? In your choices. I'm hearing reflection. I'm hearing purpose, why, figuring out those pieces. Gratitude was something I heard, and kind of going in hand with intention, like intentionally choosing to find positive pieces about the situations. Did I miss anything as far as overall themes?
No.
I think that was good. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to share a little bit more context about I'm not going to go into the details of what's, like 6 years. Like we don't have time to unpack 6 years in this episode, much less on the podcast. So, what I would say from my experience, kind of comparing and contrasting between the current couple of years of struggle versus before that. Um, it was interesting when I was in the cult still, it was this constant refrain of, well, you just have to struggle because that's what life's about. And it'll be all rest when you get to heaven. And you just need to be happy while you struggle. And I thought I was happy while I was going through struggle after struggle. But comparing that to now and looking at the difference, like I have had far greater moments of joy and freedom, especially in the last 2 years, than I ever had at any point in my life. And some of the things I've gone through have been some of the hardest in the last few years. So I just think it's interesting, and I took that piece out of it, obviously, of looking forward to heaven, to being this time of rest. And again, not getting down on anybody else's religious beliefs here, but it's interesting when I took the shift off of something that was more abstract to something that's more tangible, to the now, like you were saying, being present. And okay, well, how do I want to show up right now, even though this is really fucking hard? Making those changes has given me more power to find solutions, to enjoy the moments of calm before the next thing comes up. So these are pieces that I would just add into what y'all are saying, because I think whether or not I would put words on it, those are a lot of the pieces of what has shifted for me, especially in the last year. These taking time to reflect, shifting my mindset, sitting in gratitude, a lot of those things.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful what you said.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a very a great add-on. I wanted to comment and go back really quick on 2 things that Sydney said.
Yeah.
One of the things that came to mind for me is I feel like there's this mindset thing that happens when people say, why is this happening to me? And I like to shift it. Why is this happening for me? What is being created in my life right now that I need to see? Because the hardships are going to come. That's part of life. Life, as I've said in previous episodes, it's our best teacher. We can take the lesson, or we can take it and say, oh, woe is me, and get into that again. We get in that spiral, right? So that is one thing that I like to reframe for my side of things is what's happening. I wasn't supposed to do this. So that door closed. What else is open at this time? What's happening for me in this moment? And it sucks to be in it. Like I said, getting out of it, retrospect, it's easier to be like, oh, that was the lesson that I was supposed to take away. But when you're in it, you just got to get gritty and you got to stay present to get through it. And I love this idea of I'm allowed to struggle and still be doing great things.
Yeah.
I love that theme so much. It's like, if we can just accept that, like just because things around us aren't going the way we intentionally wanted them to go, it's maybe the universe's reminder of like, hey, there's something else that you need to be doing.
And it could be better.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one thing that I wanted to comment on is, when does adulting get easier? I don't believe it ever does. I believe it just gets different. We have different tools in our toolbox that built our skill.
Yeah.
So I don't think it ever gets easier. I think it just changes, as the seasons change. I think the chapters of our lives invite so many different hardships, joys, so many different experiences as we invite life to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Those were absolute thoughts that have gone through my mind. And that was just an example of something that I hear a lot, and also something that I hear in my brain.
Yes.
And I like to counteract those. And I'm glad that you said that so well, Kristen. Yes. So thank you for adding on to that. I think I missed out a little bit on that, but also like self-love, having self-love for yourself instead of taking on shame or taking on, oh, I made a wrong choice, or dwelling in the past. I think that it's important to, as a mindset coach, to think that there's no wrong choice, or someone who struggles with indecisiveness. Like, yes, you made a choice moving forward. It may not have been a choice you want to make again, but guess what? You have the freedom to make another choice. Nothing's definite. So, like,
Yeah, I totally just saw something on Instagram yesterday that said that if you chose to not choose, you've actually made a choice. I was like, that's so brilliant. I love that. Like, I'm choosing not to make an opinion about this matter.
Yeah.
You know? So I like that. There's no wrong choice. It's, yeah.
yeah, as a, as a Libra, I could be, one of my downfalls, and I so vibe with this, is I can be really indecisive because I like want to feel balanced, and I want to make sure that everything, is perfectly balanced all the time. And I want everybody to see each other's sides, but I'm like, okay, well, if I make this choice, and I can just start a spiral of overthinking. And I tell myself, hey, Sydney, just make a choice. And if it's something that you don't like, you can make another choice, you know? It's all good. And that helps me keep moving forward when I find myself stuck.
Yeah,
Or
but
Even with big decisions like buying a house or choosing a career, changing jobs, like even with big choices, does it still feel do you still have that freedom? Or has that been something that you had to develop over time, that I guess it would kind of go back to that trust in yourself of, I've got myself, so even if this isn't the right move forward, I can still figure it out from here. Huh? That's interesting.
I love that you like said that, because I did struggle so much when I bought my first house. I cried, and it was weird because most people celebrate, but everyone was telling me around me I'm planting roots here in Alabama, and I was like, Sydney's, nobody needs to know your purpose in buying a house, but or when I left my chemist job, I did struggle for a long time in making that decision, but I knew I was going to continue being unhappy and still being miserable, or I could just take that leap of faith, right? Um, but I'm not saying that there is no right or wrong time frame. You just, everyone decides when they're going to stop struggling or stop staying stuck. Freedom, like we said, is on the other side of fear, on the other side. So, you know, you make
Yeah. So it's not an immediate bounce back. It's I think my autistic brain is struggling a little bit with this idea of, because it's one of those gray areas, right? Every person, every situation is going to have a different response to the struggle, and therefore some people are going to like totally pivot and immediately get to work, and some of us are going to struggle for years with certain decisions. Yeah, so I think that's where my brain was struggling with this.
I think I want to hop in here for just a second, and I think that is why it's so important to have a relationship with yourself. Knowing who you are intrinsically, separate from any external factors, I think really bottom lines you, like calls you out on your own shit, and this level of awareness and your own perspective of the situations is very paramount to that step forward.
Yeah.
Or what the next step in life is, or what it is that you're trying to achieve. So if you don't know your purpose, that's going to be really difficult to do. You don't know your why, the motivation is not going to be there. And you start to allow external voices to validate you. And so that's why I love that you brought up this idea of self-love, because if you don't have the grace for yourself, the love for yourself, what is it that wants you to even be better? What is that motivation to even get out of the struggle? Because some people, I think, some people came to mind in my own circle of life of, well, I'm not good enough, I deserve this life. this is what I was handed. This is what I have to have in my life in order to fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that. I agree everybody is intrinsically good and everybody is worthy of a beautiful life. How we create that beautiful life is up to us. And I think that if you are happy being on the hamster wheel, great. We need you. We need people like that to, you know, do the work that other people who, so for example, like the entrepreneurs who don't want to work for anybody, but then the people who want the safety and security of working for a company. That is just, we need differentiation. We need different types of people in the world. And we're not saying that everybody needs to be the same, but what we're saying is find what motivates you, to know what your purpose is, to disconnect with your why in life. And that helps make those steps forward smaller and easier to obtain.
Yeah. And it can
Want to
be,
be like, ditto, amen, like all the things.
Yeah, I love the mindset and the worthiness and the self-love, because that's the life coach that I am too. So yeah, I really love that you brought that out, Sydney, in our conversation. And that's what I love about these, the authenticity that just happens when we have our conversations. Because I came in, I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about today. I don't know. We're just going to say growth and discomfort, right?
Well, and what I found fascinating was, as you started that monologue, I'm just going to call it that. That's not a judgment. Like, that's just
No.
like, right.
I'm known for those.
It clicked for me that is the main difference between the two pieces that I was talking about. I did not know myself. I was not self-aware. I absolutely was in the throes of needing external validation. Where am I at now? That was past. So where am I at now? Fuck that. I am going to love me. I am going to back me. I am going to show up for me. When I fuck up, I'm going to own it, whether that's with my boys at work, with you ladies. Like, I will take ownership for any missteps, and I'm going to find the way to pivot. And if I need a day or a week to be able to feel my feels and readjust before I move on, like, yeah. Yeah.
I think that I'm going to add one more thing because my mind just went there as you were talking, is when I think of you and what you've done with your story and leaving the sanctity of something that you only knew to now step outside and be fearless. There's this level of courage that comes to mind for me, and like the confidence that you had to instill in yourself, to the willingness to just try. And I think that is so beautiful when I think about when it comes to a challenge, are we going to wave the white flag and surrender? Or are we going to, I'm going to fight on and I'm going to take the courage to trust myself to get out of this situation? Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely, like, that's hard, breaking out of something that one thing you've really only known, and it's scary. And I think you should be really proud of yourself, Kelly, for the work that you've done. And, you're a great example to people, and your clients, and are going to be really lucky to have you as a coach, because, you've had that experience. And so you can be there for them and guide them. So you should be very proud.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling awkward because this wasn't meant to be like a Kylie moment, but like, for anybody out there who's struggling with similar types of things, just know that's the big difference between those different phases of my life. And now we can move on.
I want to, no, I'm going to point out real quick before we move on, the relatability of doing something that's scared. Like when you're scared to do something, to take that action, do it scared.
Oh, I know. It's my family mantra for me and my boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. It's something that's literally like has changed my life too. And being scared, I think, has gotten less and less.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking that action, that willingness to try, the courage to try builds that confidence that I can trust in myself, because I've accepted when I mess up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the wrong choice. It just wasn't meant for me right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that mindset, like being in the mindset, I think, of knowing this is hard, I'm doing it anyway, and that wasn't how I wanted it to go, but find your why to keep going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Done. I think Kristen wrapped us up.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say again, thank you for always being open and vulnerable in this space. For those of you that are listening or watching us, we invite your vulnerability as well. And we would love to continue the conversation in the comments. So if you have anything that you want to share, that tips that help you get through your challenging moments, we would invite them, because we will respond to them, and we're actually responding to things at this time. So yeah, we also have a, if you want to leave us your voice, you can go on our link tree and find our space where you can record and send us your message, and we'll unpack that for you if you ever have anything for us to unpack. And yeah, follow us, like, subscribe.
Okay, you got all the things. Oh, the online community.
Oh yes, we also have an online community. So if you want to connect with us and others in our community, we also have that in our link tree to join as well. You can find all this at permissionslipgranted.com. And yeah, just reach out.
I think we got it all. Good job.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye. We'll see you next time, ladies.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Permission Slip Granted. We hope this episode gave you a new perspective on challenges, and maybe even a little encouragement to keep going no matter what you're facing. We're not just your podcast hosts, we're also certified life coaches. So if you're navigating something tough and need support, we'd love to walk alongside you. Check the show notes for how to connect with us. We'd love to meet you where you're at. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode on giving back and how generosity might be exactly what feeds you. Until next time, keep giving yourself permission to grow.